What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna, and in today's video I'm actually going to take you through how I outline my novel serial using Trello. Now, for those of you who don't know what Trello is actually a productivity app. It's not actually an app for writers, but I have seen a lot of authors here on YouTube use Trello to outline their novels, so I thought I'd give it a try and I absolutely loved it. So in today's video I thought I'll walk you through how I'm outlining my novel serial using Trello. So let's get into it. Okay, so welcome to Trello. Now, as I mentioned, Trello is actually a productivity app. It's not specifically an app for writers. Now, I actually use Trello to plan my quarterly goals and my digital Kanban board, which I've actually done a video about that, which I'll have a link in the cards, so you can go check that out if you wish. Now, if you don't know how Trello works, Trello is made up of different boards. So you can see on the screen here, these are all the different boards that I've created in Trello. And then within each board, you have different lists, and within each list, you have cards. Now, this will make a lot more sense as we get into the bulk of this video. So let's get into showing you guys how I use Trello to outline my Aladdin retelling. Now, in terms of my outlining, I actually create two separate boards. Now, the first one I create is called my characters and locations board. So let me just click on this one here, and this will be the first one I'll show you guys. So this is my characters and location board, and it is quite simply a list of my characters and locations. So if you see here, these are all the different lists I was talking about, these different columns here. These are all your different Trello lists. And then all these little boxes here, you see that I'm moving around, these are your cards. Now, later on in this video, I'm actually going to walk you through how I actually created this. But for now, let me just walk you through exactly what I've done. So the first list we've got here is locations, and this is basically a list of locations that will be appearing in my Aladdin retelling, along with a picture, just so I can get a visual idea. So we have pictures of the desert, the palace, the throne room. You get the idea. And one thing I love about outlining in Trello is the fact that I can put all these pictures and give myself a bit of a visual representation of what I want my story to look like. You can do this in other writing apps as well, of course you can, but I don't know, in Trello I just found it so much more visually appealing when I did it in Trello compared to some of the other writing apps, which is what I loved about it. And then after the locations is basically a list of all the characters that will be appearing in my retelling. So starting off with Jade, our main character, who is our Jasmine, followed by Aiden, who is our Aladdin. And I mean, ladies, come on. And then we have the antagonist, the Sultan, and we go through the list here. So basically what I've done for each character is I've obviously put a little picture of them, which I've got off of Pinterest, or you can get them off Google as well. And then I've made up tags on their role in the story. So obviously Jade's our main protagonist, and then Aiden is her love interest and her helper, and her what I've called protagonist helper as well. Then we've got Clarissa is our antagonist, and so on and so on. Then I've just put their age, if they have a magical ability, what it is, and then basically their wants, needs, and flaws. Now, I won't go too much into this because I will have videos coming up on basically how to create characters. But basically, for readers to relate and fall in love with your characters, they need three things. They need a want, a need, and a flaw. Which again, I'm not going to go super into this in this video, but basically they're the three ingredients that you need for any successful character. And I basically just put a sentence for each one. I haven't gone super in detail because the reason being is I actually have a more detailed profile and detailed backstory of each of my characters in my series Bible. I use a program called Campfire. And guys, if you are writing a series, I highly suggest you have a series Bible, whether you use a digital program or even something like Trello, or even like a manual series Bible. If you guys are writing a series, it is so helpful to have a series Bible. So I highly suggest that. And I actually will be having a video coming up in October where I go through how I created my series Bible. So I've mainly done that for Jade and Aiden, and I'll do it for Clarissa as well, our main antagonist. I don't think I would do it for the other side characters, just because I don't really feel like I need to, because it's mainly these 3 characters that are the most important at this point in my novel. So that is my first board, and then the second board I use is, if we come here, is the actual episode outline. So as I mentioned, I am writing a serial, which is a little bit different to a standard full-length novel. So basically this story will get released in episodes, and then once the episodes are all released, it will all come together in an actual season. So basically I have my outline for episode 1 and episode 2 at the moment. So I'm going to hop over to my episode 1 outline, which I actually just completed the first draft for a couple of weeks ago. So I'm relieved and excited about that one. So let's just hop over to my episode outline. And this is my episode outline. So basically in our first list over here, we have a list of the characters that appear in this episode. So I've got it down here. These are the characters appearing in this specific episode. And then I have a list for each chapter. And then for each chapter, basically I have an image of the location the chapter takes place. So for example, chapter 1 takes place in the throne room. And then underneath it, I have a label of who appears in this chapter. So for example, Jade and the Sultan appear in chapter 1. And then underneath is basically where I have the outline of what happens in that chapter. And let me just scroll up just a little bit. So yeah, this is basically the details of what happens in this chapter. And then I have a couple of labels at the top here. I have 2 separate labels. The first label I have is which storyline it pertains to, because for my land and retelling I have 3 different storylines, and I have this label just to keep track on which storyline appears in which point of the episode. And it gives me a little bit better idea too, so maybe I might say, okay, a certain storyline isn't appearing as much as it should, or maybe this storyline's appearing a little bit later than what I wanted it to, and so on and so on. And then the second label that I have is these black and white labels here. These represent the beats or the storyline that the chapter relates to. If you don't know what beats are, they're basically the plot points of your story, or the structure of your story rather. And in my next couple of videos, I'll actually be doing a little bit of more of a deeper dive into story structure and novel beats. So if you want to learn more about beats and plot points and the story structure I use, subscribe down below and hit that notification bell so you don't miss that. But basically the story structure I use is Save the Cat Writes a Novel, which I think a lot of authors here on YouTube do. However, because I'm writing a serial and not a traditional full-length novel, the structure is a little bit more different, which again I'll actually be doing a little bit more of a deeper dive in the next couple of videos. So basically that is how I set up each chapter. And what I love about this layout is it sort of gives me a kind of visual representation of how the story looks, almost like a storyboard of such, so I can see visually where the story is going and how it will look, which I think is, for me anyway, I am definitely a visual person, so having something like this, like a almost storyboard, really gives me a good sense of where the story is going and how it looks as well. And the other thing I love about Trello is these labels, because it really gives me a clear indication. I can see up front what is happening. So, you know, with these character ones, I can see, oh, okay, Jade appears in this chapter, this chapter, this chapter. Oh, okay, Aiden comes in this chapter here. You know, and I can really see that straight head on. I don't really have to flip through the pages. I don't really have to click through anything. It is right there on the screen. And it's the same thing with these storyline labels as well. It gives me a visual representation. I can see it clearly where each plot point comes in the episode. And I can say, oh, okay, you know, this storyline of Aiden and Jade's relationship doesn't appear in the episode as much as I want it to. Or hang on, it comes in a little bit later than I wanted to. I can see it right there crystal clear. Again, I don't have to click onto anything else. You know, it's right there on the screen. So that is basically how I set up my outline. Now I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. So I'm going to go back home. We are going to create a new board, and I'm going to title it. What shall we title it? Again, let's just title it Aladdin Retelling. Okay. Alright, so this is what we first get to, and the first thing I'm going to do is change this background to make it more Middle Eastern. So I'm going to go photos, and we're going to type in desert. And we're just going to choose this one for now. Okay, and we just go back and then we just close this menu. Okay, so the first list we're going to make is our characters list. So I'm going to type that in. So I'm going to make a card for each character. So we're going to have Jade, Aiden, the Sultan, Queen Clarissa, and we're going to have Alia, who is Jade's handmaiden. And I think that's all of them for now. And then we're going to click on each card and add the image. So let's do that and click attachment. And we are going to go to the computer. And I think mine's saved under pictures. Here we go. Alright, so we've added Jade. And then I'm just going to do the same for all the other ones. Okay, so here is our list of characters, and then the next thing we're going to do is add our chapter outline. So we're going to go add another list and call this chapter 1, and then we're going to click add card and type in the location of this chapter. So location, and this one is the throne room. Then we're going to click on the card and add the image of our location. So add attachment, computer, and enter this. And close that down. Wait for this to process. And then once it's all uploaded, then we're going to add our labels. Now, I've actually already pre-done my labels, but if you need to add more, all you do is click this little button, create a new label, and then you can create a new label from here. And choose what color you want, and then create. Now, obviously, we don't need this one, so I'm going to go ahead and untick that for now, and I'm going to go ahead and add the characters that appear in this chapter. So for chapter 1, we have the Sultan and Jade that appear in this chapter. Close that down. That is all done, so I'm going to close that. And we have our first card done. And then it's basically adding what happens. So let's just write whatever we want. So once we've written our little outline, we're going to click on the card again and add the labels, but this time we're adding the labels of what storyline it relates to and also the beats. Now, I actually hadn't made the labels for the beads just to save time for this video. But basically, I'm just going to add the labels of the storyline that this relates to. So this is about Jade and her magic up here. Close it down. And that is basically our first chapter done. And basically you repeat this process for your other chapters as well. Whoops. Which I'm not going to go through each and every chapter, otherwise this will be a really long video. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, smash that like button. If you'd like to see more writing tips and writing vlogs, subscribe down below, click that notification bell so you don't miss any one of my videos. I'm also on socials. You can follow me at author Anna Zappia. Links will be in the description below, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!